Now at 9, the Missouri State Highway Patrol releases crash statistics from the Memorial Day weekend. And a bill in Missouri would overturn 2 laws that advocates say disproportionately impact minority communities. And we'll learn about an event being held this week to raise money for local cancer patients.
The 4 states' most watched news starts now.
Thank you all for joining us tonight. I'm Jalen Banks. Missouri lawmakers passed a bill which supporters say would fix laws that unfairly impacted minority communities. One provision in the bill would end the sentencing disparity that imposes the same penalty for selling an ounce of crack cocaine as a pound of powder cocaine. Another would bar the courts from trying children aged 12 or 13 as adults, except for the most serious violent crimes. Advocates say both laws have been felt most harshly in minority communities. The bill is currently awaiting Governor Mike Parson's signature. The Missouri Highway Patrol says highway fatalities in the state over the weekend are down a little from last year, but the numbers are still tragic. There were 314 crashes in Missouri over the long weekend, killing 10 people, down from 13 from last year. Police also arrested 130 people for driving while intoxicated. On the water, there were 6 crashes involving boats, but none of them were fatal. There were also no drowning deaths reported. Anderson, Missouri authorities respond to a burglary in progress and find a naked man. It happened yesterday around 1 near the 1500 block of Lodgepole Avenue. The homeowner says she walked into the living room of her house to find a nude male sitting on the couch. She left the residence and called 911. APD responded and set up a perimeter around the residence. They began making announcements to the man inside. After a brief standoff in which the man refused to leave, de-escalation techniques were used. The man ran into the backyard where he was detained without incident. Authorities issued charges of burglary, felony vandalism, and resisting arrest. The Joplin Public Library is asking for the public's help in finding a stolen item. The library says the statue on their bronze bench outside their entrance was stolen over the weekend. It's a statue of a little boy and a girl reading a book together. If you have any information on where the statue may be, contact the Joplin Police Department. And now Chief Meteorologist Doug Cady joins us with the first look of the weather.
Well, it turned out to be a nice day for us today, mid-80s for afternoon highs, and we have seen some isolated thunderstorms out there throughout the afternoon into the evening. 86 was our high. Normal high is 81 degrees, so a pretty good chunk above where we should be. Look at the scattered thunderstorms. These have mainly been in our northern counties, but some of these have been strong. We've actually had a couple little severe thunderstorm warnings, and we have a cluster really from Fort Scott over toward Nevada and then right down I-49 and a few just east of Joplin and eastern parts of Jasper County. These are going to be hit and miss, mainly our northern counties, as we go through the next several hours, sitting into the mid-70s right now. You can see these scattered storms mainly hang out northern counties for at least the next several hours and then start to advance a little bit farther south later on tonight. Of course, we're going to break down the rest of the week for you here in just a bit.
All right, we'll see you then. The Missouri Department of Transportation is giving drivers a heads up on some projects planned in southwest Missouri. Starting next Monday, Route 59, Route 76, and Route F will see resurfacing projects. Crews are adding an overlay of new asphalt, permanent stripping, rumble strips, and new guardrails. There will be no sign detour, and the traffic will be reduced to just 1 lane. In Joplin, travelers on I-44 should be prepared for lane reductions on off-ramps. It'll happen on Thursday and Friday from 7 p.m. to 5 a.m. Crews are making signal improvements as part of a paving project. The work will be on the eastbound I-44 at Exit 1, U.S. Route 400 and 166. Eastbound and westbound at Exit 4, Missouri Route 43, eastbound and westbound at Exit 6, Missouri Route 43, and Main Street. And west of Jasper, MoDOT crews will close the Route H bridge for inspection next Thursday, June 6th. It's over the North Fork Spring River between Jasper County, Route J, and County Road 150. No sign detours are planned, and drivers are urged to find alternate routes. For a full breakdown of Southwest Missouri MoDOT projects, download the KOAM News Now app. The Mercy Health Foundation is fundraising money for the 7th year at their Stick It to Cancer event this Friday. KOAM Jean Nahadala talked about the importance of the community events like this with officials and a cancer survivor at the Mercy Hospital in Joplin.
You know, we had the highest of highs and the lowest of lows. And to walk out and know that, well, nobody knows what the future is going to hold, but to know that this part of my life is behind me and hopefully it won't come back is a really good feeling.
Mary Johnson is grateful for the technology, caring staff, and quick care she received after she was diagnosed with a stage 2 breast cancer in November of 2021.
The technology and the ability to find out what I had so quickly, and it was like, I know time is of the essence when you have cancer.
Stick It to Cancer event helps patients like Johnson. Miranda Lewis, Vice President of Mercy Health Foundation, says their goal is to raise $275,000 by the end of the event.
Not one of us doesn't have a cancer experience, whether it's a loved one, like for me it was my mom, but everybody has a story. And what we're here to do at Mercy Health Foundation is to help draw that line between the donors and the patients and families that we serve.
This year, the foundation works towards another 3D mammography unit.
Both of the 3D mammography units that we have were donor funded. So this is just an opportunity to get to that third level because there are more patients we need to serve.
Patients like Johnson will attend the fundraiser as well.
It's going to be a great time to honor our survivors and those who we've lost along the way as well, and to honor their memory.
This is going to help save more lives. That's the goal, save lives.
In Joplin, Janna Hautala, KOAM News.
Lewis says the campaign currently has over 50 sponsors and community supporters for the event. Tickets to participate and sponsor the event are sold out, but individuals can still donate to the campaign. And coming up, the power of a hug.
Professional cuddlers could help battle surging rates of loneliness. I'm Lauren Blanchard. Those details coming up.
The FDA wants to make it easier to understand how to safely take prescription medication. The agency has been working on this for years. The proposal is a one-page guide that would include the drug's name, what it's used for, safety information, common side effects, and directions on how to take it. The FDA says nearly 75% of Americans have had trouble taking their medicine as directed. They're asking for public input on the proposal during the next 60 days before finalizing the rule. Feeling lonely? Well, you're not the only one. Leading U.S. health officials say the nation is experiencing surging rates of loneliness, and the consequences could be deadly. Fox News correspondent Lauren Blanchard takes a look at how professional cuddlers could help combat the problem.
Looking for a career change? Why not try becoming a professional cuddler? It's a unique and growing trend as more people around the world seek companions to help soothe their loneliness.
The impact of touch is that it can really start to settle us into a deeper sense of feeling safe, considered, seen by the person in which we're engaging in touch with.
While problematic, loneliness is something that unites many of us. According to a recent report from the Surgeon General, nearly half of all U.S. adults have experienced it. But left unchecked, chronic loneliness can be just as harmful to your health as smoking up to 15 cigarettes a day.
You have a booking today.
And while cuddling services are available across the U.S., overseas, the options can be harder to come by. After a terrible day at work, Florence Letsualo of South Africa realized how much better she felt after cuddling with her partner. So she decided to start her own cuddling company and is busy pairing clients with cuddle mates.
The client and the cuddle mate do not communicate at all. We don't exchange their numbers. We verify everything. We facilitate the booking process.
Her company offers 90-minute sessions starting around $50 and stresses the cuddling is never sexualized.
I'm a naturally giving person and loving person, so I thought, why not? why don't I give that to the other person that needs it?
If you're lonely but not comfortable hiring a cuddle mate, the U.S. Surgeon General recommends joining an organization in your community so you can get out of the house and engage with others face to face. Lauren Blanchard, Fox News.
Doug is next with a complete look at the forecast, and later we'll hear from the Joplin Outlaws as they prepare for their season opener this week.
Well, overall, it turned out to be a pretty good day once again for us today. Mid-80s during the afternoon hours, but we have had some scattered afternoon, evening thunderstorms. Still, we got some thunderstorms out there right now. Only about 30% of us have seen the rain, so a good chunk of us have been staying dry, but it's going to be a little bit more widespread later on tonight into the morning hours. All right, thunderstorms, mainly northern counties, stretching into southwestern Missouri. Most of this action has been along the north of I-44, but there have been a few stronger storms, small hail. We've had one severe thunderstorm warning in Vernon County earlier this evening. These are sinking south and east, so right across Fort Scott, 54 over to Nevada. Pretty good thunderstorm in Vernon County. We can track a little bit farther south and east. A couple thunderstorms popping up north of Greenfield, and then one little guy, really from just east of Carthage, Avila, and then stretching over north of Mount Vernon. And again, we're going to continue to get these guys kind of popping up over the next several hours. Look at this. It's been kind of sitting on top of Kansas City over the past several hours. Another big batch out toward the west. So what this is going to do is this batch will leave little boundaries everywhere. Once this band gets into eastern Kansas, this is going to flare things up once again late tonight into the morning hours for us tomorrow as we have this weak wave which is pushing through the region. All right, let's go through time. We're going to stop at midnight. Scattered thunderstorms still pretty much in the same spot, mainly in our northern counties. As we continue through the overnight hours, it starts developing a little bit farther toward the south, still mainly north of the Kansas-Oklahoma state line, and then scattered thunderstorms into the morning hours. Here's 7 a.m. Again, here's I-44, so mainly north, kind of flaring up a bit as we go through the morning hours. If you get rain, consider yourself one of the lucky ones because we all need it. All right, mid-70s right now, 7th and range line, 76. Southerly winds are light at about 3 miles per hour. We'll drop back into the lower 60s once again later on tonight. 65 by 7, those scattered morning thunderstorms that are going to be out there. Once we get into the morning hours and we get rid of this first initial batch, then back to partly sunny skies and a few isolated thunderstorms once again as we get into tomorrow afternoon. Things calm down tomorrow night, mid-60s once again. And then as we go into Thursday, we'll be tracking additional scattered thunderstorms during the afternoon. So pretty much the same forecast each and every day. Day planner for you, 65 to start. 82 by noon, 86 for a high. We'll drop back, 82 by 4 p.m., 87 on Thursday, 86 Friday, 85 on Saturday. So we hold into the mid-80s all the way through the week, and rain chances sticking around. Over the next week, it's going to be scattered every day, but hopefully if you put all 7 of those days together, everybody gets a little bit of rain.
For sure, and then hopefully we can put a tad bit of a dent into the drought that we're facing.
It's going to get drier. So.
Fingers crossed on that one. All right, thank you, Doug. Coming up, a key test for a proposed debt limit deal.
House Speaker Kevin McCarthy and President Biden finally have a deal to lift the debt ceiling, but does it have the votes to clear Congress? I'm Mallory Rivera in Washington with the debate surrounding the legislation coming up.
U.S. banks closed fewer branches in April compared to March. S&P Global Market Intelligence says banks closed 130 branches and opened 51 in April for a net reduction of 79, down from 100 in March. The 79 figure is also below the trailing 12-month average of 114. U.S. banks operated more than 78,000 active branches as of April 30th, according to S&P. PNC Financial Services Group closed 21 branches in April, the most of any U.S. bank. The debt limit deal House Speaker Kevin McCarthy and President Biden hammered out is facing a crucial test today. The House Rules Committee is meeting for a key vote, which could kill the legislation before it even hits the floor. Fox News correspondent Madeline Rivera has more from Washington.
A crucial debate is unfolding in the House over a deal to raise the debt limit before the June 5th default deadline. Hardline conservatives are slamming the legislation, threatening to sink it.
The Speaker went to the White House and they developed a whole new plan and they brought it back to us, and it does not reduce spending.
The bill would suspend the debt limit until 2025. It would also in part claw back billions of unspent COVID money, rescind some IRS funding, and add work requirements for some to continue receiving welfare benefits.
I'm not sure what in the bill people are concerned about. It is the largest savings of $2.1 trillion we've ever had.
If the legislation fails to get enough Republican votes, it would need support from Democrats to pass. But it's unclear how many of them would vote yes. Some progressives say the spending cuts are too extreme. House Minority Leader Hakeem Jeffries is counting on Republicans to deliver at least 150 votes.
Unfortunately, you have far too many extreme MAGA Republicans here who are playing an inside game as opposed to doing what is right for the American people.
A debt ceiling debacle could also spell more trouble for Speaker Kevin McCarthy, who may also be fighting to keep his job. At least one conservative is considering ousting him.
How much confidence do you have in the Speaker right now?
None. Zero. What basis is there for confidence?
If the House Rules Committee approves the bill, the full House is expected to debate and vote on it Wednesday. In Washington, Madeline Rivera, Fox News.
Up next, if you gotta catch 'em all, there's a town near Las Vegas that may be perfect for you. So to get to my house, first you turn right on Snorlax Lane, left on Pikachu Avenue, and then I'm on Jigglypuff Place. This is how some residents in the Las Vegas area neighborhood may have to give directions to their friends. A community built by Harmony Homes in Henderson named all the streets after Pokemon. The idea came from exactly where you would think, one of the construction manager's kids. And in the shadow of a mega-themed casino, the street's name will continue. Harmony is developing another community that will have streets named after characters from the TV show Yellowstone. 30 more minutes of news, weather, and sports coming your way. How volunteers help the Joplin History and Mineral Museum bring native plants back to the area. Plus, a Miami, Oklahoma organization hosts a walk to raise awareness of missing and murdered indigenous people. The Joplin History and Mineral Museum is getting their hands dirty by bringing back native plant life to their own backyard. Reporter Anthony Savelio has the story.
The Joplin History and Mineral Museum is digging into the roots of the past and telling the story of native plant species in Missouri. Christine Allgood has been leading this project and hopes to see it blossom into much more.
Our mission at the museum is education, and so part of education is learning about your environment, learning about the area you grew up in, and this just seemed like a really natural fit to what we're trying to do at the museum, to teach people a little bit about the outdoor environment as well.
The museum also wants to bring attention to why more community members should be more inclined to utilize these plants in their own garden.
They don't take as much water, they don't take as much care, they support your native wildlife. It would benefit anybody that has any kind of lawn space to learn about these plants just because they're so much easier to care for, less work, less chemicals.
This project has brought in both expert and community volunteers to help bring these plants to life. Volunteers such as Val Frankowski.
Missouri native plants were here before the Europeans came, so 250 years ago, and a lot of them have disappeared. This is a really exciting project to be part of because we're at a historical site, and the history of Joplin was prairie.
Not only have local volunteers come out and helped garden, but some local schools have also gotten involved in their own special way. The Carl Junction Art Department organized a mural on the south side of the building that took 27 hours and 45 students to create.
It was a massive undertaking, but it turned out so well. It's gorgeous, it's beautiful.
Baxter Springs and Joplin students made contributions of their own in the form of some beautifully painted benches. The museum continues to invite the community to be a part of this project and to explore the beauty that is Missouri plants and wildlife. Reporting for KOAM News, I'm Anthony Saviello.
All these beautiful plants are now on display for the public. If you would like to volunteer, to be sure to follow the museum on Facebook to get updates and when you can be involved. Some kids in Girard, Kansas had their own little parade. The Parade Palooza took place at Girard City Park for kids 5 years old and younger. They were able to bring their own rideable toys like trikes, scooters, bikes, and strollers. Then they decorated them and rolled them around the park.
We have these throughout the school year and into the summer, and this gives parents an opportunity to come out and be with other parents, let the kids play, have a planned activity. We've always got some sort of a theme. Tonight we're talking about safety.
The Girard School District affiliate of Parents as Teachers sponsored the event. The RISE Coalition today hosted a walk in the Rotary Centennial Park in Miami, Oklahoma, aimed at raising awareness of missing and murdered Indigenous persons. Along the walk were missing person posters featuring the photos and information of Indigenous people who have disappeared. Officials say it's important to put a spotlight on these cases.
More investigation needs to be done on the murdered, missing Indigenous people. It seems like there's a lot of people that have been murdered in Ottawa County, and it seems that a lot of them are not solved, and they don't pursue it like they should.
Our daughter was killed 22 years ago, but domestic violence is still around. People need to know how to look for the signs, need to read between the lines.
Federal crime statistics show Native Americans are reported missing at a higher rate than the general U.S. public. 5 people in Iowa remain unaccounted for, including 2 whose remains are thought to be underneath the rubble of a partially collapsed apartment building. Officials are dealing with a very fluid situation as the building is unstable and needs to come down. But the hope for survivors was renewed yesterday after someone was rescued from an upper floor. Fox's Kevin Uritsky has a story.
Right now, it is an absolute no-win situation.
A family member of a man still missing in the rubble of a partial building collapse in Davenport, Iowa, speaks out at an emotional news conference. The city had demolition prep set to begin as early as Tuesday, but they are reevaluating since this rescue Monday night. Protests erupted after a woman was found on the 4th floor more than 24 hours after the building collapsed. 52-year-old Lisa Brooks knocked out a window as a fire truck pulled up to rescue her. Her rescue coming after officials thought no one else was left inside.
Based on the information provided through multiple searches and other methods, no confirmed viable signs of life were noted at that time.
How did she get there? And why wasn't she found earlier? I am totally transparent with you. I do not know.
The building is unstable and continues to worsen as time progresses. Officials getting emotional thinking about the decisions they have to make going forward as people at the news conference lose their patience.
You can't run up to a pile of bricks and rocks and just start throwing things off as much as we want to.
The city did have concerns about the more than 100-year-old building after bricks started to fall, but recently the owner submitted 2 independent reports that certified the building was structurally sound. In New York, Kevin Uretsky, Fox News.
9 people, including several children, are recovering from gunshot wounds in South Florida after shots rang out on the Hollywood Beach boardwalk last night. Authorities say the gunfire erupted after 2 groups were involved in an altercation. Police say they now have 2 suspects in custody, but they are asking for the public's help identifying others who may have been involved. A bit later, the 2024 presidential campaign heats up.
Florida Governor Ron DeSantis is hitting the campaign trail. I'm Mark Meredith in Washington. I'll tell you where he's going and which other candidates trying to steal the spotlight in the Hawkeye State.
Well, it definitely turned out to be a nice day for us today. Scattered thunderstorms once again late this afternoon into the evening hours. And this is pretty much what we are going to see as we go through the next few days. Nice shot. Indigo Sky Casino and Resort, of course, Indigo, just outside of Seneca, Missouri. All right, thunderstorms really all afternoon long into the evening hours, mainly along and north of I-44 and especially in our northern counties. Some of these have been a little bit stronger, some heavy amounts of rain, some small hail. We've had a couple severe thunderstorm warnings. But besides that, very hit and miss. So if you are getting the rain, consider yourself one of the lucky ones. All right, little cluster of thunderstorms just to the east of Fort Scott, a little stronger one, Nevada along 54 over toward El Dorado Springs. A lot of thunder, a lot of lightning. Let's track a little bit farther toward the south. Here's Greenfield. We can go down into western parts of Lawrence County and then eastern parts of Jasper County. So here's Carthage. So a pretty good little thunderstorm just to the east of Carthage as well, and just to the north of Pittsburgh. So these are going to be hit and miss, mainly in our northern counties. You can see much heavier amounts of rain once you get north toward Kansas City. Another big batch out toward the west. So as this batch plows east, interacts with these little boundaries, we're going to get additional scattered showers and thunderstorms popping up later on tonight. A little bit more widespread than what we've had over the past several hours. Weak wave is firing off these showers and thunderstorms. Let's go through time. Here's about 2 a.m. Scattered thunderstorms picking back up. Southeastern Kansas trying to push a little bit farther toward the south. Here's 4 or 5 o'clock in the morning. As we continue through the early morning hours, scattered thunderstorms. Here's 7, 8 o'clock. They don't really go anywhere. They just kind of fire up and then kind of fizzle apart and redevelop. And that's what we're going to see through the night into the morning hours for us tomorrow. All right, temperatures right now still mild. Mid-70s, looks good. 7th range line sitting at 76 degrees. Through the overnight, we'll drop back to about 63, 78 by 10 a.m. with those scattered thunderstorms, which are going to work through the region. Then really, we do the same thing over the next couple days. So by tomorrow afternoon, we kind of heat up again. We get into the low to mid 80s, isolated afternoon thunderstorms. Tomorrow night, they'll fizzle apart. Once we get into Thursday morning, again, some scattered thunderstorms and then firing up again by the time we get into Thursday afternoon. So this is the trend over the next several days. Temperature is pretty good. 86 tomorrow, 87 Thursday, 86 on Friday. Chances for thunderstorms sticking around all the way into the weekend, into early next week, which we could use the rain, so we'll take it when we can get it.
Absolutely. And then with the unofficial start of summer happening yesterday, we'll also take those temps.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right. Thank you, Doug. Coming up in sports, we'll hear from the Joplin Outlaws as they prepare for Thursday night's season opener. Plus, all-state honors for 29 local high school baseball players. Jacob Leonard has that and more next. Well, the Joplin Outlaws are just 2 days away from their season opener. The Outlaws host the Des Moines Prospects on Thursday night at Joe Becker Stadium in their first game of the season. Now, the summer collegiate team coming off a pretty successful summer last year. Outlaws won the Mink League South Division title last summer, went on to finish second in the league championship series. Now, they have high expectations and a talented group of local guys, and the team looking forward to opening the season in front of their home fans Thursday night.
It's really exciting. The Outlaws always bring a good atmosphere with good fans around here, and I know everybody will be hyped up to play the first game and, play in front of the crowd, and I just think it's awesome that we get to start out at home.
Opening night's always a big night in Joplin, and so for the kids to be able to experience that, especially their first one, and get to see kind of what the Outlaws mean to the people of Joplin is huge, and hopefully we can start the season out with a bang and get the city a win in the home opener.
29 local high school baseball players have earned all-state recognition from the Kansas Association of Baseball Coaches. Columbus, Crest, and Fort Scott lead the way with 4 all-state selections each. Now, of the 29 local guys earning all-state honors, 9 of them have been named first-team all-state. In Class 3A, Columbus pitcher Seth Stover is a first-team all-state pick. His catcher, Landon Midget, is a first-team all-state selection as a utility player. Also out of the CNC, Girard High School senior Alex Kester is a first-teamer at third base. Meanwhile, Pittsburgh Purple Dragons have 1 first-team all-state pick in junior catcher Tucker Akins. Now here are the other guys who have been named first-team all-state. From the Crest Lancers, pitcher Trevor Church and outfielder Rogan Weir are on the 2A first-team list. In Class 3A, Humboldt gets a first-team all-state pick, and and outfielder Sam Hull. And finally, a couple SEK kids here. Fort Scott pitcher Rocco Lafredo and Chanute first baseman Lars Custer, both first-team selections. Now, if you want to check out the complete list of all 29 local players earning KABC All-State honors, you can check out the story on the sports page at KOAMnewsnow.com. The Kansas City Royals and St. Louis Cardinals finish up their quick two-game set tonight in St. Louis. Now, the Royals are trying to sweep the pair of games from the Cards after winning Game 1 last night 7-0. Kansas City also aiming for their third straight win. This one, though, goes the Cardinals' way. St. Louis gets it done 2-1. Nice night for Nolan Arenado. He goes 1 for 3 with a double and an RBI, so the two teams split the series. And one more sports note here. We got a local team, as you know, we're going to play in the NBA Finals, the Miami Heat.
Yeah.
Going on to play the Denver Nuggets in the NBA Finals. They beat the Celtics last night in Eastern Conference Game 7. Eastern Conference Finals Game 7.
Yeah, no, I was, as you know, I was really nervous because that's my team. But as for all the sports in the 4 states, whenever we get to postseason and then eventually the awards, it's always a constant reminder just how much talent is in this area that we get to cover.
We have a lot of kids that make my job a lot of fun, and especially a lot of good kids that come out of the CNC All-State picks there. It's a tough league, and it shows every year when we get to the playoffs and get to these All-State teams.
For sure. All right, thank you, Jacob. We're back with more news after this. Presidential hopeful Ron DeSantis is in the Hawkeye State today for the first time since making his run official. Early missteps, however, have pundits wondering if the Florida governor has the gravitas to take on Donald Trump and win the presidential primary. Fox News correspondent Mark Meredith reports from Washington.
Florida Governor Ron DeSantis is taking his campaign to Iowa, the first Republican presidential contest state.
For the Republicans, it's the first in nation caucus state, and this matters because Trump has a lead, a significant lead.
DeSantis appears to be investing heavily in the Hawkeye state. During a 2-day visit, he'll focus on winning over a key conservative voting bloc, evangelicals, with a stop at a megachurch in Des Moines. The governor plans to eventually visit all 99 Iowa counties.
He's put a strong emphasis on getting local endorsements, and he's going to have a grassroots army already through a super PAC.
Hi, how are you guys?
This week, DeSantis will visit early primary states, New Hampshire and South Carolina, and at least a dozen cities in the coming days.
If I'm the nominee, I will beat Biden, and I will serve 2 terms.
Serve as a restraining somewhat.
But the campaign is still facing questions about its operations after tech glitches disrupted DeSantis' official announcement on Twitter last week, as nearly 500,000 people tried to listen in. And polls show he's still far behind frontrunner Donald Trump, the former president generating headlines again after vowing to end birthright citizenship if he wins in 2024.
My policy will choke off a major incentive for continued illegal immigration.
A new poll shows Trump has retaken the lead from DeSantis among likely Republican primary voters in California, with some warning it's a sign of bigger problems to come for DeSantis.
I think there's been some missteps in the DeSantis campaign.
Former President Trump will also visit Iowa this week, a state he lost during his first primary campaign back in 2016. In Washington, Mark Meredith, Fox News.
Coming up, we'll meet a man who's nearly 100 years old, but isn't letting his age stop him from his hobby of riding Harleys. Harley-Davidson motorcycles have been part of one man's life for more than 70 years. That man is now more than 90 years old and still riding. Fox's Ali Corey visited with the man and has his story.
When riding is a part of you, you don't stop because of age. No, riding grows with you.
90 and a half. Don't forget them 6 months.
It certainly has for Don Huffman.
So this is one of how many bikes that you own?
About 30.
He got his first bike at 18, an Indian, and has been riding ever since. Huffman was a plane mechanic in the Air Force.
It was an exciting part of my life, but I decided I want to get into motorcycles, so I got out of the Air Force after 4 years.
And his love for motorcycles, specifically those of the Harley type, grew.
What's the feeling that you get?
Freedom. I love the country. Ride out through the country roads and smell the new mown hay, and look at the animals and the birds, and Don't run over none of them.
After a few years as a mechanic, he bought a Harley dealership in Lakeland.
I bought that business and I didn't know what in the world I was doing.
He ran the business for almost 45 years before selling and retiring all of his most treasured bikes here.
It means so much to me.
This is the Huffman Harley Museum.
Harley Davidson made 88,000 of these during World War II.
With Don's passion for riding, it's no surprise his son Donnie rides, and his grandson Jamie, too.
And this is a 48.
These antiques are a reflection of the decades Don has been riding.
I usually ride every day a little bit, maybe a couple times a week. I get kind of hung over if I don't ride. I'm not that quick anymore. I used to get up about daylight and ride, but I kind of like to lay in a little bit, maybe to 8 or so.
But he still rides some 200 miles a week with different crews.
Have you fallen before?
Oh, yeah.
How many times?
I don't know. Dozens.
Have you ever broken any bones?
Yes.
But you keep getting back on?
Yes.
Even today?
Yes. Don't worry about it. I keep getting out of bed every morning, too. Same difference.
Because when riding is a part of you, you just don't stop.
How long do you think you're going to be doing this?
As long as I can. Read an article the other day, a guy 93 years old riding. I said, well, that ain't no big deal.
Man, I love it. And that's our time for tonight, and thank you all so much for joining us. But before you go, we'll leave you with a video of a baby sloth at a zoo in India. Be safe, and we'll do this all again tomorrow. See you then.